So as much as we tell women, Kegel, 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 just do your Kegels, it really is so much more than that. Because with the pelvic floor, it has absolutely everything to do with the feeling, visualization, having an understanding of what those muscles look like, where they are, how they should be working, and what that feels like.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Mom Does It All. If you're looking for encouragement, empowerment, and uplifting in motherhood and mompreneurship, this is the show for you. I'm your host, Marta Spurk, triplet mom, certified success coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. In today's episode, I'll be talking to Vanessa Dugan. She's a pelvic floor physiotherapist and a mama of two. We talk about how peeing your pants postpartum is common, but not normal. We also talk about Diastis, Recti, and how she created her health coaching business alongside her husband. Let's dig in.
Hi, Vanessa. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me on, Marta. I'm super excited to chat with you today.
Yes, me too. I'm excited to learn from you. So just a little bit of a background. I met Vanessa through the mastermind with Angie Lee that I did over the summer and with other female entrepreneurs to grow their businesses as coaches and all of that. And she is a health coach, and she will let you guys know exactly what she does, which is super specific and super cool. So can you first start telling us, how did you get into doing what you're doing? How did you get into turning this into your own business? Because I know you work with your husband. So tell us more.
Okay, well, we'll kind of do the short form, but the detailed form at the same time.
Okay, sounds good.
So we'll say that I feel like, traditionally speaking, when I grew up, I only knew how to do the traditional jobs. I grew up thinking what I needed to do when I was older was become a doctor, become a lawyer, become a teacher, become anything that was like tangible and in front of me. And my whole life up until I was 20, I thought that's what I was going to do. And knowing my focus was in the science world and biology, my thought was I would always do something in the healthcare world and specifically be a doctor. And along the road, did a lot of my education, had my university degree, and the medical school just didn't work out. And when I was searching for something else to do, I ended up still going in the healthcare world, which is still physiotherapy, completed that, got my master's degree, came out of school, and still felt a little bit lost in terms of what I was doing. I had a passion for what I was doing. I got a lot of extra credentials and specifically helping women in women's health. But again, like I felt like my passion was there, but I was serving people on a one-to-one basis when I felt like I could have such a bigger impact on the world by actually moving myself into the online world and teaching multitudes of women what they wish they knew back when they had babies or before they had babies and that sort of thing. Yeah. So it was more of an organic change from going from the traditional model of just going from a 9-to-5 job to wanting that flexibility of using my passion to help more women. But at the same time, I was becoming a mother myself, and I knew that I wanted to spend more time with my own children.
Right.
And working a 9-to-5 job just wasn't working for me. I wasn't happy actually leaving the household and leaving them to be cared by other people when I knew I wanted to be involved in their lives as well. And so that's how I kind of turned into the business that I have right now. And along the road, my husband, who we've been together for a long time, 14 years now.
Wow.
And it's a long time, which makes me feel also really old when you think like 14 years.
Don't get me started. 1990 was yesterday.
I know. When somebody tells me they're born in 1995, I'm like, really? You're such a baby.
Right.
So having my husband along the road with me, we went to university together, and he always had this kind of different type of passion that he didn't fit in this mold. He was what we called like a psychologically unemployable.
I like that definition.
He just couldn't work because he always wanted to break the mold. It was never fitting for him. And so together it ended up working out that not only did we find each other in a relationship, but also that we could come together as business partners to use our strength, again, in terms of our experience, our knowledge, to then provide a bigger impact for people through the online world.
Right. Oh, that's so interesting. I love that. So you really came together in the sense with complementing each other with the things that you couldn't really find in a regular job, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking advantage of the online world, which is what everyone should be doing right now anyways.
That's where everything is at, right? We connect. I mean, I live in a small town, so it's so hard to connect with someone that's a specialist in a certain area.
Right.
In a small town, like you'd have to head to the city versus you're in the online world, and there are thousands of specialists, there's experts, there's professionals on almost anything that you can find online.
Yeah. So tell us, what is your specialty? Because I know, well, you focus on the pelvic floor and all of that, but then I also want you to talk about what you do with your husband as a more, the whole program and everything that you guys have together.
Yes. So I'll talk on specifically my specialty is working with women, especially postpartum women or pregnant women or just around that age of having babies.
Okay.
As I mentioned, I am a physiotherapist that specializes in women's health, specifically pelvic floor. So that means I do help women learn how to understand to re-engage their core so they stop peeing their pants. They rehab their diastasis recti or abdominal separation. And they learn how to use all these muscles as they continue to better themselves as a mother, as a whole body routine, as they get stronger and fitter.
Nice.
And that's kind of my niche, if you put it that way. Like That's how I've created my passion in there, and I've really specified towards that. And my husband, his background, we've worked together in the sense that like I do a lot of the fitness side. I do a lot of the nutrition stuff because of my background and experience and what I've dealt with as I was younger. Mm-hmm. And he does a lot of the mindset work. I know, which is kind of funny as like a male, but
but that's so cool.
But he's done a lot of personal development, and he's had a lot of experience throughout his years. He's lost both his parents at a very young age. So he's learned how to handle his emotions and how to actually empower himself to get stronger mentally. And we put all those things together to then provide this one-on-one coaching experience for our clients, because we understand that it's not just about taking action, not just taking action on what's the exercise to do and what's the right thing to eat, but it's also having that inspiration to do the right type of thing, that mindset to actually do the things that are going to stick around and actually make you a better person all around.
Right. Oh, that's incredible. I love how you guys do that. That's how I said you complement each other, and I didn't even know all the details. So that's so awesome, because just like you said, it's super important to have that mindset. It's not, because everything goes hand in hand, right? You have to work within as well, not just your body. It really is all goes together. And okay, so let's talk more about the pelvic floor, because that's something that I kind of looked into when I was trying to get pregnant. And then once I discovered it was triplets, all of my expectations, ideas kind of went out the window, because I knew that, the probability of me having a natural delivery was almost non-existent, which was really sad and frustrating for me, because I kind of had, a set idea in my mind. But anyways, that's motherhood. So I kind of want you to explain what exactly happens and why you need professional help. It's not something, because one of the things that you have said is women have to know that they don't have to pee their pants forever, because many things, and I love that, because so many things about motherhood, it's like, just deal with it. That's how it's going to be forever. And in some senses, yes. In other senses, you have the power to change, right? And to do something if you're not happy with it. And I think that this example is so valid here, in a physical sense, but also mindset sense of if you're not happy with something, change it. So I don't want to go too much off on a tangent here, but can you kind of explain what that all means and how you can fix it? What are the steps and everything?
So I totally agree with you in the sense that we often are told moms just deal with it, when it really should be something we come around the person and actually support them and provide the services and the right education that they need to overcome a lot of these problems. So when we're talking specifically about pregnancy and our pelvic floor, these injuries or these pelvic floor dysfunctions can come about because we're carrying this big weight on our pelvic floor. Pelvic floor being like a hammock that's holding our organs in. This hammock isn't a bone, so it's not solid, and we don't want it to be solid. At the same time, it allows some flexibility so that, again, we're able to pee, we're able to have a bowel movement, we're able to birth our children. So it has both of these functions. So you can imagine now if this hammock has a gigantic weight on it, over time it becomes a little bit stretched. It can get weak. It could get tired. It could be trying to hold on to too long so that those muscles get overly tight and you get tender points there or deal with pelvic pain. And that's just the pelvic floor in pregnancy. The other things that come around it could be like a pubic symphysis dysfunction, hip pain, the back pain. Yeah, I know there's all these sort of big words that come out here that all have to do with our pelvic floor and inner core.
Okay.
And at the end, when we start to suffer with this peeing, when we sneeze, when we cough, when we jump, when we exercise, when we laugh, all the things that are good things about that are about our lives, and we start to leak. So this thing comes about because our pelvic floor during pregnancy gets weak. So those muscles aren't actually able to close and seal that hose as it comes down. Or they're overly tight from trying to hold up this weight for so long. It's like we've asked to hold about 50-pound weight, and now we're asking to give that final little squeeze. There's no power left in those muscles. There's nothing left to actually close off that hose. So as much as we tell women, Kegel, 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 just do your Kegels, it really is so much more than that, because it's actually learning how to use that hammock to let it relax when you need it to relax, and letting it pull up and in when you need it to do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And so those are the exercises that you will show women how to do. And really, is there a way for you to evaluate what, the degree of severity is and what kind of exercises that you're going to prescribe, I guess?
Yes. Yeah. For the most part, we talk a lot about what I teach through the online world is giving them a lot of power to understand what their body is doing. Because a lot of us actually are fearful of even seeing what's down there or what's going on, when it's just another part of our body. Just like if you had a tight shoulder muscle, you would just reach your hand over and give yourself a massage.
Right.
The same thing with the pelvic floor. It just happens to be a little bit more internal, but it's still accessible to you, just not maybe in the public eye.
Okay. Interesting.
But it is at this very basic level. What I'm teaching is essentially how to use those muscles, how to create or how to do a pelvic floor contraction, otherwise known as a Kegel, to use all those muscles to their fullest extent, to use them at varying levels depending on how much effort you're doing through an activity, how to retrain that reflex so it turns on before you sneeze, before you cough, before you laugh. And at the same time, we're also teaching you how it feels like to relax those muscles, or what it feels like if it's 50% tight, 75% tight, or whether it's all the way relaxed. Because the pelvic floor is a very intricate thing in the sense that you can't actually see what it's doing. If someone were to do a bicep curl in front of you, you can see it, you can critique it, you can change the form just by seeing what they're doing. With the pelvic floor, it has absolutely everything to do with the feeling, visualization, having an understanding of what those muscles look like, where they are, how they should be working, and what that feels like.
I see. Wow, that's super specific. And can you tell us a little bit more about the diastis recti? Because that's a huge concern in the triplet mom community because of how huge our stomachs get, and even with twins. And I know singleton moms have that issue as well. Can you kind of educate us a little bit? I'm like fascinated because I have an expert here. I have to ask all the questions. Why does it happen to some women and to some women it does not? Does it really depend on your body, or maybe something that you did during pregnancy or before? Does that affect that?
The short answer, all of those things affect it. The more complicated or more detailed answer are, if you have one child versus three, you're more likely to have it with three children, whether that is in one birth or multiple births.
Okay.
Right? So the more children you have, the more likely you will to develop it. Or the same thing in terms of having more children in one time. More children means a little bit more stretching, means putting a little bit more pressure on that connective tissue that's holding that six pack together.
Okay.
Then also during pregnancy, there are lots of activities that you can do that are pregnancy safe, and there are other activities that can be deemed as unsafe for pregnancy, are more likely to create a diastasis recti.
Oh.
And as you know, when you're pregnant, you have a growing belly. Yes, your abdominals need to separate to make room for that growing belly. But we don't need to put too much stress on that area, putting too much pressure, whether we're holding our breath while doing any type of lifting exercise, whether we're holding ourselves in a plank position, putting all that weight of the baby on our abdominal muscles, stretching it even more. Poor posture. Like there's so many different factors that come into play when it comes to pregnancy and what could actually make diastasis recti worse or what could actually prevent it from happening.
I see. And then in terms of afterwards, once you're like, all right, I have it, because I know there are different degrees as well. And is there like, kind of like, because I know you have to measure it with your fingers. I've done all of the tests. I was super worried. And then is there like some cases where it's not reversible, or it really depends? Like after
there are, yeah, I was gonna say afterwards, after baby comes and you have a few weeks after, because we do give enough time for your body to go back together.
Right.
Things don't just, your abs don't just go whoop and zip back up. Every woman has some sort of gapping in the middle to some extent for a few weeks.
Okay.
The abnormal side, or when it actually is referred to as the diastasis recti, is when it's abnormal, when after 6 to 8 weeks, you still have this large gap that doesn't seem to be going closer together.
Okay.
Now, the science or the research or anything else that you want to talk about it in terms of the actual gap or what makes it severe versus not severe is varied. People talk about a 2-finger width gap, but again, the size of my 2 fingers is different than your 2 fingers is different than another person's 2 fingers. Like that's a very subjective measurement of how much of a gap there is.
Right.
People talk about a 1.5 inch gap. There's a lot of variety, but what it comes down to is you always want to do the things that will help those abdominal muscles come together. And failing that, then you know there's a little bit of a bigger issue.
Okay.
So severity comes down to a very wide gap. Like you are putting a full fist into someone and it goes very deep. Then you know that the connective tissue isn't really there anymore. It's not doing its job despite all the exercises that you might do to help it come together. So it has everything to do with how wide it is, but also how deep it runs.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if you feel like it's wide, but you're still kind of butting into something that's resisting you going further into your abdomen, that's still a good sign. But if you're finding that it's even a 2-finger gap and you're diving deep inside, again, that's a different case.
I see. So there's more to it than just the gap. Interesting.
Exactly.
Because I know, that is a subject that comes up a lot in the triplet mom groups that I'm in. And they eventually say, I have a lot of back pain because of it, or it's way too big and I think I'm going to have surgery because I want a tummy tuck anyways. And everyone's different, but in my head, it's like, I will try to do all of the things before I try surgery because I would rather not put myself through that unless it's absolutely necessary. So in terms of it being a bigger gap and it being deep, that's when only surgery could help, or...
Not necessarily. What I always suggest is kind of what you're talking as well, is that you have to do all the things, all the rehab protocols, the exercises, the breathing, the engaging all your core muscles, try all those things and exhaust those before you really want to look at the surgical options. Because you don't really, it's not to say that they're not successful, but there are a lot of complications that come with the surgeries. And even with the surgical procedure, doesn't mean that you're protected from having issues in the future.
Right.
So all the things that you're working on right now to try to fix it will still protect you and help you should you still require the surgery.
Right.
And the same thing goes with like bladder slings and meshes and those types of things. Like you want to still work on all the exercises to improve it, even though you might not make it 100%, because post-surgically, those are the things that are going to make it last versus 10 years down the road needing to do the surgery again.
Okay. Because it's all about strengthening your muscles too, instead of just going for the quick fix. And no judgment, but it is important to strengthen your muscles. And that's one thing that I talked about with another mom that is a health coach and personal trainer, is that so many times we think, aesthetically wise, but if you think about us getting older, everything drooping, us losing strength, what you're doing right now is going to determine how bad it's going to be later on. So we have to think about that too.
Yes, it is like put the work in now so that you will still be good later on, and you're going to fight those aging effects as best as you can. You're going to set yourself up for success.
Exactly. So not just aesthetically wise, but also longevity and just enjoying life a little bit more, even as you age.
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay. So next thing I wanted to talk about was the name of your business that I love. And I feel like I understand more that you explained your part and then your husband's part, which is called Inspired Action Method. Can you tell us more why you chose that name, and also tell us what kind of programs you have and how to reach you and all of the good stuff?
For sure. So we came up with the Inspired Action Method because our business has been around it's still a baby. It's probably a year and a half now. When we thought about what we were doing, we wanted to make sure that our clients were aware that they're not just taking action, they're taking inspired action. They're taking action with a goal and a purpose and a guidance. And the reason why it's a method is because it's teaching you from step 1 or from step A to step Z. Here's your exact method. Here's your protocol. Here's exactly what you need to follow to reach your results. And that's why we call it the Inspired Action Method.
Okay.
And within our group, my husband and I work together to coach one-to-one our clients, or helping them figure out their fitness, their nutrition, and their mindset portion. So we're giving them a lot of customization and having a lot of access to us as the accountability partners. And on top of that, I'm actually just launching a mom-specific program, the group program called Hardcore MomStrong, where I'm specifically working on pelvic floor and teaching moms how to go from postpartum to back to doing the exercises that they love, whether it's CrossFit, whether it's working out at home, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's powerlifting, whether it's running, jogging, whatever they love to do. I'm going to help them bridge that gap to go from pregnancy, having the baby, to then being able to do all those things, rehabbing their core, getting them nice and strong again the way that they should be, working on all those muscles that need to be worked on postpartum.
Amazing. Super complete. Yeah. Love it. And so how do we reach you on Instagram, Facebook, website, all of the resources?
Yeah, on Instagram, you can find me at Core Strength Mama. I'm always on there. I have a Facebook group that's specifically for moms, and we're talking a lot about core and pelvic health, and it's called The Simple, Happy, Healthy Mom Life. And then you can always reach me at our website, which is theinspiredactionmethod.com.
Perfect. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This was just super informational. I know lots of moms are going to love this one. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for letting me chat. I know moms need to hear about not peeing their pants. And business life, momhood, hashtag mom life.
Hashtag mom life and mompreneurship.
Yeah.
I am so happy you joined us today to talk about no longer peeing your pants. But seriously, if you're struggling with this or with anything else, seek help. There are experts and professionals out there to help you. Mom life doesn't have to be so overwhelming. It's supposed to be our ultimate life, right? Don't forget to give the show a 5-star rating and a quick review so we can reach more mamas with all this good information, more encouragement and uplifting, because moms need to know we can do it all. Until next time, bye.